Hello everyone, welcome back to the vlogs. I am so excited for this week's video. I don't have like a fully formed plan for the week, but I think I want this to just be a cozy reading vlog. I have some book updates that I will share with you guys. And today, as I'm filming this, it's actually Halloween and I just got off of work and there are definitely some cozy, spooky things that I want to do tonight. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's start with some reading updates, talk about some of the books that I'm going to be reading in this video. So the first book that I want to talk to you guys about is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. As you guys know, this book was on my October TBR, and again, today is the 31st, and so I tried to finish this book before the month ended, but it just didn't happen. I am currently on page 88 of The Atlas 6, and this is one of the books that's been sitting on my physical TBR for actual literal years, and for some reason, I just wasn't picking it up. I honestly don't know why. I really don't have a good reason. I feel like maybe it's because the pages are big and the words are small, but other than that, I don't have an excuse for you. And so when this book got picked in my October TBR, I was really excited because I was like, great. It's a perfect opportunity to give it a shot, and I am actually loving this book so far. Basically, I don't know everything. Like, it's very obvious that as the reader, we're not supposed to fully understand everything that's going on. And so in this world, people with magic are called Medians, and if you do have magic, you usually have like a specialization of sorts. And so there are 6 main characters in this book, hence the Atlas 6. And they are all competing for a spot in this secret society that has something to do with the Library of Alexandria. They talked about it a little bit, but that part is not fully clear exactly what the society is or what that means. The issue is there are only 5 spots and 6 people competing for those spots. And each of these Medians, these characters with magic, they all have different specializations. So one is like a naturalist and she's really good with like plants and growing things. 2 of them are physicists, so they can manipulate the world around them in a really interesting way. I won't say all of them. I feel like you'll have to learn for yourself what they all are. But I'm really enjoying the writing, the characters, the setup. Hopefully that continues. I also haven't read a fantasy book in so long, and so I think it just feels so good to read a fantasy book because it's been so long. But yeah, I feel like that's all I have to say about this one. I'm really enjoying it. I have both the physical book and it was available from my library, so I downloaded it onto my Kindle. So that's this one. And then the other book, classic me, I'm in the middle of not 1 but 2 books. It's fine. The other book that I'm in the middle of right now is The Runaway King by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This book got chosen in my November TBR. And again, this book was available from my library to check out, but the audiobook version. And so I finished my last audiobook and I started the audiobook for this one, but I'm sure I'll be switching back and forth between the 2. And similarly, in this book, I'm on chapter 13, page 83. And this is the second book in the False Prince series. And I don't know if I want to get super into this one now. I feel like we can talk about this a little bit more later in the video. Right now, my main focus is definitely the Atlas 6 because this is the book that I was supposed to finish in October, but obviously that's not happening. So yeah, I've already been talking for so long, but these are the 2 books that I'm reading right now and I will probably be finishing in this video. And so now we're just gonna go and do some cozy things, have a fun Halloween night, and I will see you guys in a little bit. The pumpkin bread is currently in the oven. I'm a little worried that it might not cook all the way through because my baking pan is a slightly different size. So fingers crossed on that. But while that's been baking, I've been crocheting my little blanket. This is my newest, I don't know if you can see that, but this is my newest little crochet project. I did not really realize, like I should have known, but I did not really think about how long it would take me to create something as big as a blanket. So this is slow moving, but I've been working on this for probably the last 30 or 45 minutes. And I'm gonna keep working on that. And then while I was doing that, and again, my pumpkin bread was in the oven, I was listening to the audiobook for The Runaway King, which I am now. Do you guys ever like listen to the audiobook and then update your bookmarks so you can see exactly where you are in the book? I feel like I do that all the time. I'm now on chapter 20, page 145. So it says in my audiobook that I am 42% of the way, so getting close to halfway. And I thought now would be a good opportunity to tell you guys a little bit more about this book. I wasn't planning on reading this today. If I have time, I'm gonna read more of the Atlas 6 later. But basically this series, again, the first one is called The False Prince, not to be confused with The Cruel Prince. This series follows the story of a young boy named Sage. He is an orphan on the streets trying to, I don't know if make ends meet is the right word, but he's just trying to survive. He's doing his best. And one day, this clearly very wealthy man picks him up basically off the side of the road and is like, you are gonna work for me. I have a job for you to do. And so Sage, along with 3 other boys that have been picked up, again, literally off the street, are going off on this adventure with this rich guy who, you know, they didn't trust him from the start, which is good. And then the story kind of goes from there. Because this book is the second book in the series, I can't say too much about it, but I will say that Sage, our main character in this series, he is bothering me quite a bit in this book. Basically, in this story, the end of the first one, there's a lot left to still be resolved. There's kind of this new adventure, this new question that opens up at the end of the first one. And so to me, Sage kind of feels a little bit like a martyr, and I don't know, just a lot of his words and a lot of his actions aren't the most respectful of people around them. And he's like, oh, it's the only way, it's the only solution, like it's for the good of everyone. But like, I don't know, I feel like there's another way to do things without disrespecting your friends, disrespecting people that you meet on your quest. I don't know. So that part isn't my favorite. And again, this book wasn't necessarily written for like my age demographic. Like the most YA that I'll really read is YA fantasy series. I do tend to really like those. But other than that, I don't really read anything that's, I don't know, made for younger audiences, if that makes sense. So I'm enjoying this. I'm not enjoying it as much as the first one, but again, it does go super, super quick. And while I'm crocheting, it's really, really nice to just listen to this book. Plus, it's on my November TBR. So the more that I can read and listen, the better of a chance I have of finishing my very ambitious November TBR. I think that's it from me right now. I'm gonna continue listening and crocheting while my pumpkin bread bakes. And like, again, fingers freaking crossed that it bakes all the way through, because I think the baking pan needed to be bigger, but I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. My pumpkin bread just finished. I will say it was cooking in the oven for so much longer than I originally put it in for, and I was worried that it was gonna burn, but it looks like it didn't, and I thought we could do a little taste test. Also, I literally just keep relocating myself to crochet. I just switched colors over again to the pink, and I swear the bigger and bigger that this blanket gets, it feels like more of an accomplishment every single time I change colors, because literally every round just gets longer and longer. So excited to be moving on to the pink. That aside, let us taste. This is the Trader Joe's gluten-free pumpkin bread. So I did not have chocolate chips to put in it, unfortunately. Yum. The outside of it is a little bit firmer, but that's just because I had to make sure that the inside cooked, and I don't want to spoil my dinner, but this is so good. I think I would give this a solid 7, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. It's good. I have had better, but also with gluten-free, there's only so much that you can ask for. So I think that's all of the cozy things that I'm gonna do tonight. I have some Halloween plans this evening, and then I will pick up the cozy reading vlog when I'm either doing something cozy and listening to my audiobook or just reading my wonderful books. I will see you guys probably, hopefully tomorrow. Hello everyone. Today is November 2nd, so it's been like 2 days since I last filmed for this cozy video. On Halloween, I ended up going to this like pumpkin nights thing where there were a bunch of like carved pumpkin light show displays. It was honestly so cool. I've never seen anything like that. But today is Saturday and I want to do more cozy book related things. First things first, I have my sweet, I think it's called sweet and spicy tea. I've been obsessed with this lately. And then something that I need to do today to give me my best chance of actually accomplishing this thing in the month of November is setting up the tandem read for my Throne of Glass read. For anyone who hasn't read this series, basically you're supposed to read these two books at the same time, and as you're reading them, you switch back and forth. So you'll read a little bit of this one and then this one, and you get the idea. But before you do that, a lot of people go in and put little tabs for each of the sections that you're supposed to switch. So I think I want to set that up today. The only thing that I'm worried about is I don't know how people do this without spoiling the books for themselves. So I'm just going to try to not look at the pages. So I think if I do set these up, I will have a way better chance of actually finishing these in November. But I was just thinking, I'm traveling so much in November and I don't know if I want to bring these bricks along with me. But that's a problem for another day. Before I do this though, I will give you guys a little bit of an Atlas 6 reading update. Let me grab it. This morning I ended up going to a little local coffee shop and I picked up my book and I did a little bit more reading. Currently I'm on page 142 and that's also I think in part 4. This book is divided up into a bunch of different parts. I don't know if you can see that. And honestly, this is one of those books where I'm like, why has it been sitting on my shelf for so long? I am like severely enjoying this book in the best way possible. Everything about it is so fun. And it's really interesting at this point because we're definitely still in the early stages of the characters' competitions. And they're all competing with each other. Obviously, there's 6 people, 5 spots. But in order to compete with each other, they all have to work together. And so there's a lot of alliances. There's a lot of each of these characters trying to figure out where the other person's at, what they're thinking, making different teams, different strategies, who's the weakest. Like, there's a lot of mental gymnastics going on in each of the characters' heads. And we get all of their POVs, which I'm really, really enjoying. I will say the beginning of this book was a little bit confusing because I didn't fully understand the world. And the hardest part, honestly, for me has been distinguishing all of the different characters in my head. So like figuring out who looks like what their magical power is, like all that kind of stuff. But now that I'm 150 pages in, I'm invested, I know who's who, and I'm just so curious to see where we go from here. I don't know if this is giving like 5-star energy at this point, but I'm definitely thoroughly enjoying it. And the last thing that I'll say is I haven't read a fantasy book in so long, and I didn't really realize until I filmed my wrap up this month. So to be back in a fantasy world feels immaculate. Like I just cannot remember the last time that I picked up a fantasy book, especially a fantasy book that's a new series. So like getting into a new world, new characters. And if I like this book, I have a few more that I get to read. So fingers crossed that this continues to go well, but I will update you guys when I read a little bit more of this. But I think right now we're gonna jump into some tabbing. Might take me a while. Hello friends, it's actually been quite a while since I filmed for this video. If you guys saw my most recent upload, then you would know that I honestly during the filming of this video entered just like a really bad reading slump, and I'm definitely still in it. And I don't know if that's because of the books that I was reading or just like the time of the year. I honestly have no idea why that happened. Could not tell you. The last time I filmed for this video, I think was literally like 2 weeks ago. I got into a reading slump and then I left town for 7 days. I was purely on vacation. And in that time, I didn't bring my camera with me on a vacation. I did end up finishing both of the books that I started in this video. I will say I finished the second half of both of these primarily on audio, and I feel like that was the reason that I was able to get through them. But before ending this video, I did want to just jump in here and give you guys a final review of both of these books. The first one that I want to talk about is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. And this book had, I mean, you guys saw such a strong start. I don't know what exactly happened, but I think I'm deciding to give this book a 3.5. And the main reason that I am at least in touch with right now is as we progressed throughout this book, I think I don't know, I developed this strong aversion to the character dynamics that emerged in here. As I mentioned before, there are 6 characters competing for 5 spots. And I liked that Olivia Blake was able to add a lot of nuance to each of her characters. They all have a very interesting backstory, but the ways that they interacted with each other as we progressed throughout this book, I didn't really enjoy. And I think because of that, I just felt a little bit disconnected from the characters. And when you don't like the characters, it's really, really hard to feel that like deep emotional investment in the story and where it's going. Overall though, I'm just so glad that this is off my physical TBR. And then the last book that I read in this video was The Runaway King by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And again, this book was good, but I didn't love it. I do think that just in general, YA, and especially whatever this book technically is, YA middle grade, isn't my favorite genre to read. I think I definitely prefer reading books that are a little bit more adult. And so I wasn't loving Sage, our main character in this book, as much. I felt like the end was... It was sweet, it was cute, it just didn't have a huge impact on me. So I think I'm gonna rate this book 3 stars. I did like the first book in the series more. I think technically this series has a lot of books in it, but there's 3 main books. And so if I stumble upon the next book, I'll probably read it potentially. I don't know. It's also possible that because I kind of was in a reading slump that these books got kind of screwed, and maybe I would have liked them a lot more if I wasn't slumping. But then again, maybe they put me in a slump. I don't really know. I think that's gonna be it from me though. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Sorry it was so chaotic and all over the place and time jumps and all that stuff. I'm hoping to get back to some more regular content and uploading and all that good stuff in November, but mostly in December. And lastly, if you guys made it all the way to the end of this video, comment down below the little coffee cup emoji. But I think that's it from me. I hope you guys are having a great day and a great month, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.